So they're going to be taking a look at a scenario where Trump forms an empire. Now, Trump is the president of the United States, and well, as you can see, the United States is colored in red. And his goals are, well, I don't know about Mexico. He definitely wants to build a wall there, though. He wants the Panama Canal, as well as Canada and Greenland. So we're gonna see if this is possible. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of places like NATO, the UN, the EU, all world alliances, the real people, like every world alliance is gone. So Canada, Mexico, these nations in the Americas, they're gonna be left on their own where they can't do anything, and they don't have an alliance. So the United States, the strongest country in the world, is going to turn into a monarch. So we got King Trump, and King Trump's first operation of move is going to go ahead and start their invasion of Panama. So we can see that the Americans are gonna land in this part of Panama, cut it off, and then take the rest of this land right here. And then we see another invasion force coming out from this area, and well, it is very quick and very safe to say that the Panamanians are not gonna do well, as this area also right here starts to get taken until the United States makes a landing in the Panama Canal, where they used to own it, and start taking a bunch of land near it, sieging the capital, and the capital is fully taken by Trump. And he's on the front lines, by the way. Trump is surprisingly on the front lines. An encirclement is made right here, in which he lands and everybody there dying by Trump himself. And then we can see a bunch more stuff happening. And then, well, Panama's gone. They are now going to be fully annexed by, let's see, they're going to get fully annexed by the Americans. So the Americans, they own all of Panama now. They wanted the Panama Canal originally first, but now they want all of the Panama area. So they have a foothold in Central America, which I guess is good. Now from here, what they're going to do is they're going to wait a little bit, and they're going to actually go do something interesting, which they're going to force Denmark to release Greenland. Now they forced Denmark to release Greenland. Other Denmark doesn't respond, so the United States declares war on Greenland. And when Denmark hears this information, they're like, uh, bye Greenland. So they kind of got they kind of got very scared. And we can go ahead and see the Americans making a first invasion. Now this is Alaskan troops, as well as a very specialized force of units going along the Greenlandic area. Now this is the warmer part of Greenland, but it's still cold because it's Greenland. Um, and once pretty much all of the important areas are taken, we can see them moving up a little bit on this coast right here. This is also pretty important. They captured the capital of Nuuk, and from here, the Greenlanders will go ahead and surrender. Pretty much all the population has been taken. And of course, in a peace treaty, we're going to see that if Paindown ever load, we can go ahead and see that it will be fully annexed by the Americans. So the Americans have made their second move, which is taking Greenland. That's part of Trump's proposal. But now we see kind of a Latin American alliance form against America, which include, no, not all that. It includes Mexico, includes Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Costa Rica was formerly protected by the U.S., but just kind of broke that and decided to make their own military. So that's interesting. And this also includes Haiti, the Dominican Republic, which that I separated those two, and Cuba. So these nations are all going to team up to, and also Venezuela. They're going to all try to team up to kind of not make sure this American country expands. However, that is probably not going to do anything because this is a very strong country. Anyways, like everybody thought America would do, they asked Canada if they want to be the 51st state. And of course, Canada's going to say no. Justin Trudeau, or whoever's in charge of Canada now because he stepped away. I don't even know because I'm not Canadian. But um, this is it's a very interesting event. But America is going to get some allies, including Colombia and Brazil. So they have some pretty strong allies down in South America, and good for them. I guess they have a foothold in South America, but the main thing is invading Canada, of course. So they're gonna start invading the Canadian areas. So the Americans are gonna start invading into areas of Vancouver as well as Vancouver Island, and start taking all of Vancouver Island and a major portion of this British Columbian area, which has a lot of population. They also move up and to take this major city, I think Calgary, I may be wrong, but they make a spearhead to go there, and from here they make a spearhead to go to this other city right here, which I'm not sure what the name of it is. They also make an incursion from Minnesota using pretty much specially trained troops to go through this harsh region. And most of their forces, however, are invading the New Brunswick area. And they just start taking a lot of this New Brunswick region as it is not very protected at all. And these islands start to fall one by one as a naval landing is made on many of these islands. And eventually all of New Brunswick is captured. However, Nova Scotia is, they're still there, just kind of waiting until they eventually fall. Michigan is going to go ahead and make a landing through the Upper Peninsula, which goes actually really well. They take a lot of area on the coastal regions of Michigan. Michigan also pushes up over here into this area, and with help of New York and Buffalo, they manage to take all of this land, which is a very large amount of land, and a good amount of land that is population centered at least. And then Montreal is starting to get, well, sieged. By the way, I'm just gonna try to say this right here before I get any comments. I don't really, like, none of this I'm saying I'm supporting. Not at all, actually. So that's just, something to kind of see. In fact, I don't really have political beliefs. And if I did, which I kind of do, but not too extreme, I wouldn't state them here because I don't like to do that. Also, there's a new wicso Discord server. Go ahead and join that. I'm one of the people there. I already made a community post about it. I believe. Maybe that's canceled actually. I don't know. I mean, it's the 17th. We created it in the 17th. But yeah, go join that. It's probably in my community post anyway. But we can see that they also start invading through Alaska, and they capture all of the Pacific coast of the Alaskan region. And then Alaska will start a push, and they capture that major city right there. Probably isn't just a major city. It probably just is like a township or like a small village. From here, they connect their fronts over here, and they start a large, very large push into British Columbia, as well as taking this major city right there, and just starting an all-out invasion from their, well, their border. Nova Scotia is lost, as well as Newfoundland, which completely surrenders. Interesting move there. Eventually, Ottawa is captured, and this whole, like, area right here, the whole Ontario region, will be taken, as well as Montreal, Quebec City. It's all of these very large cities right here. This coast is captured, and with that, every single major city of Canada is captured, which will lead to the country's surrender. And let's take a look at the Peace Treaty of Canada, or maybe like the Treaty of Quebec City, because I don't think it would just be called the Treaty of Canada, but who knows? And in the peace treaty, we can see that Canada has been fully annexed by the Americans, and the Americans uh, are very large now. The largest country in the world, in fact. But, but, they do give autonomy to Quebec and Alberta. They give autonomy to those two due to them having already big separatist movements in Canada. I'm not sure how they would feel in America because I don't know the geopolitics of Canada, because once again, I don't live in Canada, and I don't really want to either. But anyways, of course, like all other videos, the perfect time comes, and Trump says, well, we don't need to build a wall. We can just get rid of the border, and that separates the problem. That's just classic Trump. I bet that's probably something he would say if he did invade. But anyway, because first of all, it doesn't make any sense. Technically, they won't be illegals anymore, but I mean, uh, you, never mind. So we can see America starting an invasion of Baja California, separating it from the rest of Mexico, and as well as just making an invasion of this Mexican area, which is going to be the largest invasion that they're going to make of Mexico. They also cross the Rio Grande into this region, as well as into this region, just gaining a lot of areas in the river, like ahead of the river, and a lot of coastal areas in general. We also see the Costa Ricans. They don't see much hesitation at all. But eventually, they reach the Panama Canal and they're stopped there as American troops are lining up on their border. Puerto Rico was also taken, and now the U.S. is starting to look a little incompetent with that happening. But it is important to know they have the most important land under their belt, and most of the land under their belt. So maybe they're not doing so bad. And Mexico is having issues internally, like big issues internally. And two pretty large areas within Mexico are going to go ahead and declare independence. Now, these areas just don't want to be a part of it. And even an area right here also doesn't want to be a part of Mexico, taking all of that land and even separating Mexico in two. Now, the Americans are going to try to become friends with these people, and they're actually going to do well, as these people they're wanting to cooperate with the Americans, maybe even join NATO, although maybe not because NATO doesn't exist. So maybe join an alliance with the Americans. Maybe that's a possible thing. So the Americans are then going to make a landing in the Yucatan, just taking a lot of this area around the coastal areas of the Yucatan. And a lot of these areas people go to vacation at, and it's probably, well, I don't know what the safest place of Mexico is, because Mexico's not a safe country overall. But the Yucatan Peninsula is eventually fully taken, and well, that's just unfortunate because now the Americans are heading down south towards the capital of Mexico. By the way, of course, it's not meant to be realistic at all. But we can then see that the capital of Mexico will be taken, and this country is just, yeah, it's not doing good. As the brown team takes that portion and even manages to get popular in Guatemala, which then makes Honduras leave the war. The brown team starts to take a lot of land very quickly, and eventually Mexico is just going to go ahead and collapse. And, well, with that, we can see that the final touches will be made as Brazil and Colombia are going to go ahead and join in on this war against the blue team. And you might think that these guys are going to get destroyed. No, they're going to get obliterated. They die immediately. Those these no, that's not it. Those these Costa Ricans, and when that happens, they're gonna go ahead and leave the war along with Nicaragua, and well, there goes that whole Central American front. And then these guys are gonna leave the war. Interesting things happening here. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at a peace treaty. Now, by the way, this video was meant to be a Doodle Empires video. However, that kind of failed because the recording corrupted. So I don't know if there will ever be another Doodle Empire video. Whoops. From this peace treaty, Mexico gets a large chunk taken out of it, while the rest, under a new government, is going to go ahead and, let me click on the right layer, they're going to ally with the United States. They also take Guatemala with them, and I forgot to color this in, too, but America also took control of the Yucatan. We can see that Panama stays as is, and the two powers over here, which are allied with the United States, divide Venezuela. But that's gonna do it for today's video on what if Trump formed an empire. Pretty good. It isn't meant to be realistic at all, and I think you can obviously see that. Anyways, thank you guys for watching today's video. See you in the next. I was about to say see you in the next stream. See you in the next video.